3 in the USL Championship season. The final one begins with a view of that magnificent vista at Zions Bank Stadium in Harriman, Utah. Real Monarchs in 4th place in the West. Their position in the playoffs secure. Their home game to begin, not so much. And Sacramento trying to avoid the play-in game on Wednesday night. A win here today would go a long way toward avoiding that fate. Welcome, everybody. Mike Watts, Devin Kerr on hand for the call of this one. Devin, you think about the standings right now, handful of teams still trying to make their way into the playoffs. We know the Monarchs and Sacramento are in. They're battling between 4 and 8.
We just don't know where they're going to end up, do we?
No.
But that's the fun of this beautiful league. Final week of the USL Championship season. Where's everybody going to end up? If it was predictable, we wouldn't enjoy it. So let's get to work. Real Monarchs have been doing some real nice work recently. 5-2-3, last 10 games. But I want to focus in on 2 losses. One, they lose at HEB Park. That's a difficult one on September 21st against RGV. And 2 weeks prior, they lost to Los Dos. Now, Los Dos is a different team, so how did they respond? They didn't put their heads down. Let's get to work. They go out, they go 3-0-1, wins at Reno against Orange County. And oh, by the way, let's tack on a victory at Casino Arizona Field just 2 weeks ago.
Thomas and Alave saying that they have a lot of confidence from this recent stretch. They're going to need it today against Sacramento, whose offense much improved.
They've been struggling. You know, it just really wasn't what we thought it was going to be. We picked this team to come out of the West, so how have they gotten better? They started to be a collaborative effort. Good steps on the back line. Everybody working in unison. Look at all the space available. After Tanner sprays it inside, Alemán, quick little touch. Now we're off to the races. Love the turn by Inivolts, and he gets this out in front. Now notice, Cam Iwasa can go one-on-one. This is over, right? Alemán doesn't think so. He's the one that started it. He could have ended it if he wanted to, but Iwasa does what he does best, sticks it in the back of the net. Republic have struggled heavily on set pieces, 33% in the last 4 games, and that's as far back as we went. It was actually worse. If you continue to go back and look at the stats, they got to clean it up. This is an area that some teams just don't spend enough time on, and they've really gone to bat against it on the negative side of things. El Paso took advantage of them. You saw what Orange County was able to do. If they want to get a victory today and make a run at this thing, they got to tidy it up from set piece opportunities.
The best defense in the West last year, the 3rd best defense in the West this year. Sacramento goes away to Salt Lake City and Harriman to take on Real Monarchs. Seeding implications galore. Everybody's watching. Lineups at kickoff coming up. Out of the starting lineup today, Theo the Lion. Rest of the starters are awaiting their opportunity to check onto the field. Zions Bank Stadium in Harriman, Utah. Number 4 versus number 7 in the West. Both teams could see those numbers change fairly significantly in the grand scheme of the playoffs here today. With Devin Kerr, Mike Watts, Jamison Alave, interim head coach for Real Monarchs, sends out this starting 11.
Let's go to work. David Ochoa, he's the big one for me. U.S. Youth National Team standout, comes into goal. How about Comrade Plua stepping in next to Kalen Ryden? Love the work that he's been able to do recently. Eric Holt, Noah Powder. This is a different switch. Noah can play on the left. Eric actually bounces all over. It's a different back line than we've seen recently, and they're going to take a lot of movement from Sacramento Republic. Michael Chang on the right. He's had a great season. Not shocking. Cami Wassa up top. Eni Voltson just underneath, and that's the relationship you want to keep an eye on. It doesn't matter which one is better, where they sit on the field. No, not at all. Simon Elliott doesn't think so either. He loves the relationship they've developed. They're going to continue to stoke that fire. Bijev comes into the right midfielder position. Aleman out, and Matt Mahoney comes onto the back line for Declan Kanon. That's an area they could look to attack. Hansopoulos and Mahoney is not a regular rotation we see together. They're very talented, but some switches here that isn't necessarily always in the starting 11.
You're going to play Wednesday or Saturday? You're going to be home or on the road? We're going to have a lot more answers for these two teams and many more. A result the whole Western Conference is going to be paying attention to. Real Monarchs and Sacramento Republic underway. Featured game in week 33. This is a Real Monarchs team that now has gone to the playoffs 3 consecutive years. Knocked ahead by Mulholland. Portillo plays it aside. I mean, they've built this wonderful stadium in Harriman. They've built this wonderful training complex nearby. Real Monarchs have become a class organization. They're looking to be able to host at least one playoff game here. Pressure coming from Werner. It's been a really nice year in the grand scheme for the Monarchs.
When you look at the organization top to bottom, it's head coach funneling down, even guys in the PR department. Taryn Meyer, you and I get an opportunity to experience all of that around the USL Championship. Always willing to reach out, and the players get that as well. That home body feel, everybody working together, and it doesn't matter if you've come up through their academy or you've been an acquisition from a team afar. You get guys like Justin Portillo. Look at all the work he did under Mike Anhauser in the Charleston Battery. They cherry-picked him. He then put in the work, got an opportunity with Real Salt Lake. But now Aloni getting a chance. We didn't even talk about him in the 11. And that's what this organization does. They push all of these positive notes in your direction. You just got to take it and run with it.
Bijev, who returns to the starting order, his 14th start this year, has dealt with hamstring injuries through the duration. Free kick for Ryden.
Yeah, a little higher. Yeah, Kalen, stretch it. Carry it. Douglas, be active, man. Yep, carry it.
Monarchs 4 unbeaten, as we highlighted at the outset, against very good teams. Ryden plays back. Plua even further. Shown a red card in that win against Phoenix on the road. Returns from that suspension. Free kick for Real Monarchs.
Hey, hey!
Conversely, how about Sacramento Republic? We were high on them earlier on this season, and though things have struggled a little bit, they've managed to not only stay relevant, but give themselves an opportunity to avoid that playing game. That's the biggest one. You're playing on Saturday in front of a pretty big crowd. Everybody eyes on you in this second game out as the Battery are doing battle right now in the Eastern Conference. You don't want to then have to turn around on short rest and go play a midweek game and then play a third one the following weekend, which will most assuredly be on the road again. So this is a good chance. Go out and just worry about this game. Don't worry about all the intangibles around you. If we win, who has to lose? Go out, get 3 points, and let everything else sort itself out.
Challenge on Jack Blake, and the captain lost it. Bijev from distance. Hops it at Ochoa, who's been quite impressive when he's gotten the opportunity. Will officially start half the games in the regular season, his 17th here. Jack Blake said he could be eventually the best goalkeeper in the USL Championship. His youth national team experience would certainly lead one to believe that's within his range.
Was going to push you further and say, this kid could be the heir apparent down the line, eventually, for the national program. There's a massive amount of talent floating around in the youth ranks right now. David Ochoa, one of them, and kind of a head turner a little bit. Not necessarily sure he was the one that was going to get the start the way that Andrew Putnam has been playing. You and I talked about that, how he's just had this brilliant run of form. We talk about all of the offensive exploits and how this team has been doing so well, but defensively, they've looked pretty sharp, and it's not just the back line.
It'll be with Sacramento. Jordan McCrary is consistent as they come. Iwasa overrun by Plua. Iwasa recovers and goes to work. Turns down Skundrich and played the square ball for Mahoney. Handles Skitter out.
Look around, just look around.
Go, Tay, go, go.
Higher, higher.
Plua. Portillo.
Douglas has to be more active.
Tay, lane. Douglas, move
Douglas.
back, Douglas. Playing behind.
5
Tay,
minutes
Tay.
quickly elapsed in Harriman. Martinez, what a revelation he's been, a Honduran full international now.
Quickly, quickly, quickly.
Head to Chang.
Underlap, no.
Steadies up on Tainter. And played across. That's cut out with ease. And Iwasa holds up for Sacramento.
Go on, Tay. Your work, Tay. Let's
Sam
go,
Werner
Tay.
on the ball. Goes for a tumble.
Stop.
Devin, the more you and I spoke with different coaches around the league going into this final week, the more we understood nobody is waiting to set their tactics or their lineup to see whether the Monarchs grab the 4th position in the West and officially host the quarterfinal game, or whether Republic are going to be in the playing game with a loss or potentially out of that and into the quarterfinals directly next Saturday. They're just going to have a plan going into Saturday, and whatever happens here in this game happens.
To be fair, that's how it should be. With everybody playing at different points in time, it's real simple to have that wandering eye. But I warn you on that one. Control what's in front of you. That's something that you really have no direct influence on. So why are you going to pay attention to it? Yes, it's nice to know what's going on around the league and to see how everybody's performing. But all you can worry about is your 18 that you're putting out, the starting 11, you know, who's getting the sweater and goal, and specifically what's lining up on the other side of the field. From there, you just have to adjust tactically, and most of these coaches are going to tell you, we're going to play this way, we're going to do this, we're going to stick to our guns. If something changes mid-game, we'll adjust then. You don't want to be scoreboard watching going, okay, well, what if this happens? Where are we going to end up here? And then you adjust your tactics, and it's kind of what we talked about in the open. Just 90 minutes. Go out, get your job done, and then worry about the next matchup.
Played forward toward Chang. Interesting to see where Michael Chang has been stationed for Real Monarchs over the course of this year. He's playing up front in a 2-forward lineup in this game, but is so effective on the wings.
One of the bigger things to keep an eye on right now, the way that the Monarchs are lining up, and we saw this a couple matches back. Right now, they're sitting in a 3-back. They've rotated Kalen right into the left back position. Conrad Plua sitting just right next to him. And then Eric Holtz over there as well. Those 3 guys, Kalen right on the ball, are sitting. You've got Tate Schmidt out in your wingback position. Noah Powder, conversely, on the right-hand side. This is what they did in their wins against Reno and Orange County. Felt like it suited them better, but the rotation specifically, because of the frequency of games, I asked them if they were going to do it at Phoenix, and Hamas had said, no, you know, we have to sit a bit more. We have to be a lot more patient. This is a bigger field. But the way that they're lining up right now, they want to push the pace and see how many guys they can throw into the midfield.
Yes, quickly,
Michael,
quickly.
es el espacio.
Advance, advance. Carry, fucking carry. Go. Douglas, Michael, we need you closer.
Holt
Douglas,
plays
Michael.
forward.
Hey, Olave, tell
Comes
Michael
all the way back to Bobby Shuttleworth on loan from Minnesota United. They lost Josh Cohen. He transferred over the summer to Israel. Rafael Diaz got some starts in goal, and eventually they secured the services of a guy with 185 appearances in MLS.
Michael.
To Ochoa, flips it out. Ryden under pressure from Bijev. It's a decent recovery after what could have been a catastrophic error.
This is one of those areas you have to be careful. When you switch this into a 3 and you allow Tate Schmidt to push up, you don't have weak side help, even when you're playing out of the back. Head on a swivel, have to play quicker, but it's the quick little step by Bijev. This press by Sacramento Republic, though intermittent at times, can prove quite effective.
You have really come to enjoy Sam Warner, watching him as often as you have this year.
Just leave the ISO on him all game and I'm happy. He's an impressive talent. Another Jeremy Gunn product coming out of the Stanford program. Big left foot, great on set pieces, lovely speed down in the channels. And he can flop side to side as well. That's one of the luxuries you get with Bijev and Sam Warner. They're very comfortable play there on either wing.
Warner again won 3 national championships at Stanford. The College Cup Most Outstanding Player 2 years ago with a golden goal in the final. Schmidt thought he was off to the races the other way. And Villarreal a bit slow to get up. Feel like he's grown a lot this year, former LA Galaxy 2 guy. Spent time with the Galaxy as well. Mahoney.
Come on, guys, come on!
Villarreal, that's teasing. Not off the head of Eric Holt.
New man, Noah.
Bijev, a Scouser, a Liverpool youth, swerving this inward. And Mulholland stabs it away. And Kenrail Monarchs get out on the counter. A little bit short for Chang from Martinez.
They got lucky on this first one right at the top of the box. The clearance coming on the corner that's whipped in is directly to the top of the 18. Fortunately enough, they had a couple blue shirts to counterattack. Those are one of the ones we talk about. Even though it's not directly from the run of play, it's their own set piece where you haven't situated yourself to account for those types of runs. You don't have enough bodies back, and that doesn't mean you have to pull them out. That just means when it starts to go the other way, you have to transition the shape defensively much faster. Sacramento Republic has struggled in that area. And that's a really good look, if not for a poor decision by Douglas Martinez.
Well, we've talked a bit with Simonelli about transition moments, set pieces. Felt pretty positive about the grand scheme against Orange County last time out. Of course, the way it ended left a bitter taste in his mouth.
Quickly, get in.
How about the fact that Sacramento Republic's backline has played a bit of musical chairs as well. Jordan McCreary has gone over to the left-hand side, somewhere that, obviously, a worldly talent he's more than capable of doing. The loss of Shannon Gomez to injury earlier on this season, they've had to shuffle a little bit, and so Jordan McCreary goes to the left. Matt Mahoney, not only this year, but what we saw under the Bethlehem Steel, will occupy the right back position, and look at Mitchell Tainer, who did a great job last time out at the left marking back position. He gets to tuck back inside.
Came off of Chang. And it's Mahoney in control. Once upon a time, a trialist for Bethlehem Steel. Became a regular starter there a year ago and made his move up to the West Coast.
I'm going to go after that matchup if possible if I'm Thomas and Olave. Not Jordan McCreary, specifically right back with Matt Mahoney. He's a good talent. but I want him located centrally. I like the idea of Mitchell Tainer on the left. He adjusts better on that left side compared to Mahoney coming to the right. Tate Schmidt, a guy who you've seen up top a lot at the youth level, and then his collegiate career as a Louisville Cardinal. Now that they've moved him into this left back midfielder position, we can dive deeper into that. I want to run at him, push some piece down this left-hand side, and allow Douglas Martinez to drift in over too. Michael Chang starting to move centrally.
Steered into space and Ryden in control.
Knock it out, Tate. Good. Knock it out. That's fine. Good. Knock it out.
15th minute between Real Monarchs and Sacramento Republic. The draw has value, but it wouldn't officially do anything for either of these teams. The way the standings currently shape up, Monarchs trying to hold fourth. Give them not only Wednesday night off, but a home game on Saturday. Whereas Sacramento trying to avoid the 7-10 game on Wednesday night. They would have to go on the road to start their playoff journey. Is that surprising to you?
The possession? Not this early in the match. You're 15 minutes in, everybody's figuring things out. Simon Elliott's not going to be happy with it. He wants to have a bit more possession so that they can dictate their own terms. We referenced that 10 minutes in, control what you're capable of. And right now they're just chasing a little bit. They're adjusting to systems though. 9 times out of 10, Real Monarchs are setting up in a 4-2-3-1. And every now and then they can rotate it where they go flat in the middle, allow somebody else to drop back in and overload. Very rarely do they set up in a 3-back system, and it's just cheating a little bit on the left-hand side where Tate Schmidt is actually still capable of coming to help out. Noah Powder on the right is actually sitting deeper, though now he gets the ball out in front of him.
Here we go, yes.
And those quick switches, when you have the wingbacks, that gives you the chance where you stay centrally located, trust your center backs, but then the quick diagonal balls going up over the cross, that extra runner coming through, allows you to break going forward, and then everybody follows suit.
Jev takes it in, and Mahoney under pressure from Mulholland. Shuttleworth.
Hey, Tate.
Villarreal will pull the strings.
Yes, Kalen, on you. Yes, well read. Right on.
Good read, knocked away from Schmidt. Portillo further. Simon Elliott, a little bit of coaching along the way as well. It's his second year at the helm for Sacramento Republic. There will be an announcement on Monday for Sacramento,
Right here, half and half.
although it was a bit coy from the manager what that would be, but did speak to just how many people were involved in making this Republic franchise the class of the championship for so long. This gets blasted out of play. Sacramento won it all in their expansion season in 2014, and they've been chasing that elusive second title ever since, despite being in contention each and every year.
Honestly thought this was going to be the one with everything they had done in the offseason. Black and white, it looked great. Again, there's plenty of teams looking around going, well, we thought what we had done was enough to get us over the playoff line. At least they still have that chance. And most importantly, they have a chance to avoid the playing game. And that's the biggest thing that you really have to hone in right now. You cannot finish 7, 8, 9, 10. I don't see it happening. Any of those teams coming out, either the East or the West, of the play-in game and going after this thing.
Most coaches have been coy. I'm trying to find the right word. You can't tell whether they're for or against the playing game. I think they'll have an opinion once it occurs. Simon Elliott said that's a league kind of decision. Another coach who's in contention for a playing game thought, hey, maybe there's some value in gaining momentum and keeping your legs and continuing after it rather than playing on the road in the first round.
Let me know how that goes when you played 3 games in 8 days. Regardless of if you agree with it or not, most importantly, how do you adjust to it? That's the biggest thing is, okay, so now we've ended up in 7th. We get a home game of sorts.
Bijev header is wide of Ochoa and the goal.
You look at the standings right now and the way things are playing out. Sacramento finishes in 7th, so they'll host San Antonio. And this isn't a bad effort. And it's kind of a hope and a prayer. He's looking right at Tate Schmidt, asking for the weak side help. That's what I talked about. But Sacramento, they would host San Antonio. Austin would host Los Dos. And then you reseed based upon who wins those games.
This is what the bracket would look like right now. Now, it's reseeded afterward. The highest number, the lowest seed, will face Phoenix, and then Reno or potentially Fresno, depending on results later this evening, would host the next team there that gets out of the play-in round.
Stay with me. Sac wins no matter what. If they stay in 7th, if they win, they're playing Phoenix. That's real simple right there. At the 7th seed, and they win, they're playing Phoenix.
And you just played San Antonio at home. That's not my idea of a good time.
No fun. No thank you at all.
Voltson running in there. Voltson's been rather quiet. He's kind of rotated around for the ball, but it hasn't quite found him.
The problem is in the middle of the field right now, what you're seeing for the Real Monarchs is actually quite similar to what the system that Frank DeBoer uses at Atlanta United. And what he does is he overloads the middle. So Justin Portillo is dropping in front of his 3 center backs. So that's giving him a bit of clarity to cluster the middle of the field. Tate Schmidt, Noah Powder on the wings, and Luke Mulholland and Jack Blake in front of him. But Michael Chang and Douglas Martinez are doing a good job. They're staying flat up top so that you can't play in between them, but then one of them will drop back in. There's a good look at Michael Chang, 44, coming back across so that central ball isn't coming through and they can't find Edie Voltson's feet.
McCrary got forward, and Iwasa couldn't turn it back toward the net. And Voltson is making the run toward the 6. His head snapped back.
You have to be willing to play in behind. That's where you can bite at them. Make them stay true to their shape. So it's okay. You're going to overload in the middle. We're going to take advantage of the wings. Quick little ball down in, and you can get your runners going forward. That's where most of the space is going to be for now for the Republic.
Iwasa, Skundrich, Villarreal, McCrary. McCrary got the ball away, and Ochoa will snag it and take his time.
How many times are we going to do this, guys? Come on, come on.
Taken away from Portillo, who's trying to charge the other way. And Voltson tried to slip through Bijev. Decent idea, didn't come off. Here's Ochoa. It's been difficult at times, I think, for Jamison Alave. And you think about the players that have come through Real Monarchs over the years, some pretty impressive guys. Their academy through Casa Grande and now in the Utah area has developed quite a bit. You're seeing the progression of that. But different head coaches every year. Freddie Juarez in 16, then it was Mike Pecky and Mark Briggs in 2017 when Pecky went to RSL. He has since left the club. Then Briggs and Alave 2018. Martin Vasquez started the year as the head coach this season. Alave the interim again. That's a position you'd theoretically like to keep. His goal to be a head coach. It's worth noting that Mark Briggs is now director of the Academy for Sacramento Republic. He's on the other side of this now. And they're about to welcome a daughter into the family. So congrats to Mark on that. But it's just been a little unstable around Real Monarchs, and they keep winning.
We haven't even talked about that 2017 first-round matchup. This was it right here, 8-1.
Yep.
That was the year they set a bunch of records, consecutive wins, USL Championship consecutive wins.
Look at this touch from Ochoa to knock it across. That was the stretch where the #1 went down to the #8 2 years in a row. Orange County did it as well.
They had rattled off 9 that year, and it wasn't playing like this, I can promise you that. You have to do better on the outside. That's Eric Holt tracking the runner. And this is a really good job by David Ochoa just to put this up over the top of the bar. Bijev fancied himself on the back post. But that squad that he had was absurd.
Yeah.
All the guys that were on that team. But you mentioned it, you continued, you overload, you restack with talent, and they find a way to just continue to get better as this has gone on, regardless of the circumstances surrounding the organization.
Floated into space, and Martinez unable to quaff it into play. Villarreal was following. Villarreal just took a ball off the table and swiped it into play, trying to put a second ball in play. That's got to be a card. It is.
It's not as coy as the escapades going on at the Tacoma Defiance New Mexico United with the ball boy the other night, but it's pretty smart here. And regardless, you're still going to end up in the book. Villarreal, no slouch himself in terms of his ability to get away with things in the middle of the field. Unfortunately, you're right in front of the fourth official.
You know, they talk about how quiet a kid he is, and look at this. Okay, I didn't get it.
You're going to counter me? I don't think so. Chase me, boys. Let's have a little fun.
You're caught red-handed. What was your favorite time-wasting technique?
So I would get yelled at it. But in college and high school, when they would stop the clocks, you know, 5, 6 minutes to go, you're up a goal. We're not knocking it down into the corner. Both, we'll start with my high school. My high school was right next to a lake.
Oh, no.
So when the ball would come in, I wasn't maintaining possession. I was launching this thing 40 yards over the fence, putting it in the lake. And yes, the ball boy would give us one, but we didn't exactly have 5, 6, 7 balls running around. We carried 3 or 4. And we also told the ball boys to slow down. Yeah. College-wise, you had a big hill on the backside. You could get away with knocking it back up over the goal. But still, you had the practice fields behind it, and you know, it seemed like you hit the college level. There was a Puma ball everywhere I looked, so didn't do me much favors.
It's only select balls now.
That's right.
Devin, who actually had to collect the balls out of the lake.
Eventually, they got smart, and they would send me kind of a miss you chase type thing out of practice. Unfortunately, it was me doing runs after the match.
Is this when you were in Nebraska or in Florida?
No, this was Florida.
Okay.
This was
in
sunny
Nebraska,
South Florida.
That's like getting into the ice bath.
I would have had ice skates with me.
Yeah,
going onto the pond, diving deep, dark down in.
Republic in control of the ball, which has been a on and off proposition for them thus far. Hansopoulos.
Drop, Jay. Again.
Kept by Skundrich. And there he is, dropping into space, finding the ball. Inny Voltson orchestrating. Mahoney drives Bijev into the final third. Low cross, chance to finish. Inny Voltson just touched it wide. And you're starting to feel like Sacramento's getting the chances.
Where does it come from? Inny Voltson stepping back in. They have to find a way to counteract, and this is a really good look where he's the one that actually drops it initially. Quick little ball out. I'd like Bijev to understand the width that's available for this team. When Mahoney steps up, you have to make 2 decisions. You pull the runner with you inside, or you give yourself more leverage on the outside by opening it up for the run for Mahoney. That way you can play it down into the channel. Better execution, though. Quick little ball across. Just can't finish it off on the far post. You can toy with this a little bit. Villarreal, Drew Skundrich. Give yourself the multi-dimensional look where Villarreal is checking now. Skundrich has to come back in, provide that 5-10 yard ball. Then Inny Voltson can play off of it. You can see a bit of rotation going on now, and that's starting to open up some spaces. But they have to continuously test all these bodies in the middle of the field. When Iwasa gets flat with Inny Voltson up top, not a good look.
Well done, Bill. Well done.
Thrown back by Chang. And Noah Powder will step forward. Trinidad and Tobago Youth International. Native of New Jersey, eligible for Trinidad through his father. The youngins seem to be appreciating this game so far.
It's a little bit of Theo down in the corner here trying to get him going. And look at that backdrop. Beautiful weather, mountains in the background. I'll take that view.
Hey, hey.
Now, I know you might not want to drive in it. I was up at Weber State last year. Once the snow starts peaking on those mountains a little bit more, I mean, can't beat that. Look at this run for Schmidt into space, curling across toward Blake.
Move it, move it, move it, move it.
Hopefully November 17th,
take
if
your
somehow
strike.
we end up in Harriman,
Action!
Utah, the snow can maybe stay away for a little while for our benefit.
I've done some work in Utah. I've had some fun there. It's a good place. Actually, my
Come on.
very good friend got married there. I was a best man, so
You did work then.
I did work then. The Shiloh Inn, I'll never forget it. Great wedding venue. Douglas Martinez still struggling to get into this game. I really like the thought process of overloading the middle, and they're starting to execute a bit more, but they got to find a way to stretch this. And that man right there, one-on-ones, cut in and hit it.
There he is. Curled a shot off the back of Hansopoulos. That man is the size of a house when he's running right at you. Martinez finally is getting into the game. That's probably the first good look he's had.
He had a goal like this when we had a special edition of Wednesday Night Soccer on Friday against Tacoma Defiance.
Yeah.
You remember that? That was a beautiful goal. Same thing, the way that it played out, where he takes that quick little touch in, picks out the far post.
Powder's eyes darting around. Plays it to Blake, who slips it ahead. A turn from Plua. Blake again. Powder was onside. Curls across. Andy Iwasa did the job.
Options. Good set. That's it. You play forward, yes. Regain our shape. Yep, let's regain our shape. Yep.
Hey, keep going high. Keep going high. Keep going high.
It's the fourth match in the last 2 years between these two sides, and they have all been one-goal games.
Always there.
History says this was going to be tight from the outset. I wouldn't even say most of this game has been played between the boxes. I do feel like Sacramento's found their way into that final third in their wing play a bit.
The last 5-6 minutes is better. What they have to be careful of is the fact that Douglas Martinez has started to peek his head out here. You get he and Michael Chang going, watch out.
There's Chang. Quick ball. Martinez pirouettes and tried to set up a teammate. It's Sacramento off the other way for Bijev. Schmidt.
No!
A college number 10 turned into a wing back.
Straight back. Straight.
McCrary went to ground as Portillo sent it out of play. Free kick.
Eric Holt took the bait on this one. Jordan McCrary, seasoned in his moves. Watch this quick little touch in. He knows there's going to be a little tap coming, and the touch he's going to take, that's not going to allow him to continue the run as Justin Portillo was stepping. Just allow yourself, quick little flick, go to ground, get up, let's go the other way. And those little steps like that, not only do they free up pressure on the back line, but it frees up space in the middle, because when he steps in, now someone else has to go challenge him. Not necessarily always going to be 100 miles an hour in a counterattacking situation, but when he steps up into those spots, now you have to ask Mulholland, Blake to come over, and that's when now you have more on the wings. And the one thing is, just a second ago, Sam Werner had a chance to switch this ball. Bijev was on, but put it out in front of him, let him run onto it. Instead, it's a 50-50 ball. Monarchs win it, and they go the other way.
Mahoney ran into Mulholland. Martinez trying to run at the whole back line, and Hansopoulos got his left leg caught up in that, a throw. Mulholland allowed that to run through. Powder, Blake. Powder. We get enough to find Mulholland, who slides down as he sent the service. It'll carry him out to midfield.
Coming. Just in. Turn.
Chang. Schmidt returns. Chang. Low ball to the penalty spot.
Better.
You can just pick up the voice of assistant coach Matt Glazer in the background saying it's better, and he's right. Pick up the pace of the game. Don't have to blow it wide open. Faster touches, better decision making. The opportunities are definitely there for the Monarchs. They're just not as impressive once they cross over half field.
The switch was good. What can Powder do with this? Sends Shuttleworth diving aside to pull that in.
This is not enough power here to beat him. It's a good little touch. Interesting switch. You're going to play a 45-yard ball with pace moving away from the player. And the half-chance opportunity from distance. Well done by Shuttleworth. The outlet passes right now have to be better for Sac. Some really technically talented players that they just haven't been able to get in the game. Right there, Villarreal, Drew Skundrich in the middle. Some frustration brewing on the near side, and Bijev. Quick little touch in, move back around, but notice, even when Eni Volson drops back in right now, he's got no support. Skundrich isn't have enough depth on it. He's too flat. All he has is Villarreal, and that pass is blocked off, so they're having to go back to their back line and then situate themselves on the other side of the field. All of that rotation is not allowing them to open this thing up and use their focal players up top.
Same guy three times, and he warns them. A yellow for knocking the ball off.
Well, McCrary looked like he got the end of his boot tagged by Blake. Veteran of the Blake down. Missed those days.
The Rowdy's days.
Yeah. You know, it's interesting with Jack Blake. I don't think it was anything negative between him and Neil Collins. It just wasn't the right fit. They traded him midway through last year out to Real Monarchs. And Blake, the perfect captain for this team. Seems like he pulls everybody together.
You can see the possession style he possesses. It's a Mark Lowry disciple.
Bijev. Well, looked good. Play still on here for Sacramento. All kinds of options percolating. Mahoney. Bijev. Though the only problem with that trade, it increased his playing time but decreased his TV time. Poor Jack.
He'll find a way.
He will.
Winners always do.
Bijev, good turnaround. Schmidt. There's USL Championship's favorite TV personality. Sorry, Devin.
Drive, keep going, keep
Schmidt.
going.
Chang. Martinez let that through. Blake lashing it well over. I think everyone's still wondering why Martinez wasn't whistled for a foul there, but I think more than anything, he just allowed himself to be a mannequin.
There was some contact at the beginning of this, and then he just puts his arms up at the tail end of it. The referee had his head waiting for this ball to be whipped in. There was contact between he and Jordan McCurry on the far post. Wouldn't have blamed the ref if he blew the whistle here.
Chang. Working Mahoney. A little bit heavy. Chang watches this fly out. By the way, Devin, USL Championship playoff race finishes today. Playoffs begin on Wednesday, and then the quarterfinals in each conference on Saturday. But you're looking forward to tonight's big League One final, USL League One's inaugural season. North Texas playing host to Greenville.
What do you think about the game?
John Harkes has done a wonderful job getting that team into the final.
Should be a fun little matchup. #1 offense, #1 defense in League One. John Harkes surrounded himself with bunch of his boys from his Cincinnati days. They've definitely got a little bit spoiled with that back line and goalkeeper. Guys that have some serious pro experience.
Taken away by Sacramento. Enif Olsen. Iwasa tries to dip it back, and well, the flag was up, and Enif Olsen's finish wasn't on target anyway.
He's frustrated here with the referee. That looked like the run was flat enough. David Ochoa doesn't agree, and as he points to the sideline, he just said, line it up there, brother. A quick little ball in. I'd like some faster movement on the far side. Cam Iwasa picked his head up, had the run with Bijev on the back post, and it's really where they've been at their best. The quick balls we're talking about like this, put it on the deck and just speed it up here. Again, you overload the middle with all the blue jerseys, and now they've reset. So the passing lanes have closed off. Have to find another avenue to go towards. Now you've worked yourself all the way back, and credit to the Monarchs on their shape. This is really impressive right now. Again, plenty of talent for Sacramento Republic, but a lot of it is these balls that are a long one with a glimpse of hope into the corner, or you're knocking a through ball on a header. Very rarely has it been this, where you get it to guys like Werner and Bijev and push the pace.
Werner dancing and lines it at Ochoa.
This is better. Again, long ball. And notice it wasn't everybody drifting back, going ball hunting. You play with your outside backs, quick little touches. You make the Monarchs chase. Suits your run of play much more nicely.
The 42, what our player tried to tell you.
It'll be a throw for Powder and Real Monarchs. 46, 14, and 16 at home in their history. Thing is, altitude's not really that big a thing anymore in this conference. New Mexico, Colorado Springs, Real Monarchs. I mean, you know, like a third of everybody's schedule is played in altitude. The heat's not a big deal either. You go to RGV, New Mexico in the summer, Phoenix.
You go to RGV. You play in the summer. 100-degree humidity. It's
oh, pass.
Homicide's sitting over there on the sideline like, yeah, you just go to RGV, get a win, no problem. Told you. Said it once, I will say it again. The best slogan for when you have to play a game there. It's a place where dreams go to die.
I know, I know.
All of the big names fall in Edinburgh.
Well, they don't always draw, you know, always drop all three. They draw quite a bit. That's probably the biggest problem for RGV this year. Have to find a way to turn that outstanding home field advantage into more wins. 9 wins, 5 losses, 3 draws this year. Last year it felt like every other game there was a draw. Monarchs this year, only Phoenix has more home wins than they do in the Western Conference. Fresno and Austin have 10 apiece as well. Both of them have already completed their home schedule, so Real Monarchs looking to add to that statistical domination. Portillo. Oh, that's got to be a card. Martinez writhing around. A yellow does come out. He and Tainter are having words.
Tainter's really lucky here. He actually made a really nice step just moments before. And Jordan McCrary had moved up higher, so he had to situate himself in that one-on-one situation, left back position. Doesn't like being barked at, but he gets himself in trouble. He's really lucky that this isn't against the run of play where more of his teammates aren't behind him. This could have easily, in a transitional situation, right around the half field mark, you go the other way, not playing the ball. That could have been straight red. Let's see here, set pieces. Talked about it coming in. 33% of the goals over the past 4 matches have come from these exact situations. Simon Elliott's smart enough. He'll have looked at the tape, talked to his boys, and picked out specific spots of where they needed to be better. One of them, by the way, is a real long ball to the back post that they've struggled in some zonal marking. They play a little hybrid zone one-on-one at times. And with two boys standing over the ball, watch a cheeky little flick running off the near post as well.
Step over by Powder, and, well, they'll try again.
Michael Chang was beside himself. That's exactly where they were going. He had come just outside the penalty mark. Bring it down, quick turn, or even a little flick on.
He's got good gloves, though. He held onto that ball nice and securely. Not everybody can say that. Sacramento has struggled defending these set pieces. This header is off the crossbar from Ryden. Follow-up Ryden again! There's the goal! It's happened again! Real Monarchs lead it home! And again, it's the Republic's Achilles heel. 1-0 right before the half, and they love it out here.
The dagger that makes this whole thing do the dirty deeds, especially with my man Denson in the stands, but he's got every reason to celebrate. They went near post on the first start, ref brings it back, and I said, watch the back post run. They've really struggled with that long ball. Not once, but twice. They allow Kalen Ryden to go up and really impose his will. Look at all of the shirts just standing around. There is no reason Hunsopoulos at 6'4" allows Ryden. He's got almost a 3-inch lead on him, and still, you don't even jump. You have to do better. But the perseverance pushes forth by the Monarchs as they get their goal just before halftime.
8 goals in the last 2 years for Kalen Ryden. By the way, a bit of housekeeping. Mitchell Tainter on the ball now. Not suspended. That was his 5th yellow card. He had 1 taken off good behavior earlier this year. So he's not suspended for the playoff game. He does, however, owe the league some money. He is fined as if he had been suspended. Go figure. Halftime. Well, if you're Real Monarchs, a lot of feeling out. But you nailed Sacramento right where they've struggled all year long, especially now, though.
It's not over, though. You saw a couple looks from Sacramento Republic. Simonelli will talk about his boys in the rotation in the middle of the field. They need to be on the ball more and find a way to start to get their more influential pieces up top. For Real Monarchs, it's going to be actually quite similar because Douglas Martinez and Michael Chang were almost non-existent until the tail end of this first half. No changes, but keep an eye. They will find a way to resituate everyone. There is a lot at stake in the Western Conference. Sacramento Republic trying to avoid the play-in game. They've got some work to do in the second half.
Got highlights, stats, news, and notes from around the league and more. All coming up here on ESPN3. There'll be snow on those mountains soon enough. It's 1-0 Real Monarchs over Sacramento, week 33. The USL Championships regular season. That's right, the finale for both these teams. They know they're going to be in the playoffs. The question has been, where are they going to be seated? This coming into the day today in the Western Conference. There are 4 teams alive for 2 spots. Las Vegas has like a roulette, you know, one number kind of odd. I mean, it's low, right?
I see what you did there.
Right, it is low.
Yeah, okay.
Orange County El Paso could not drop into 8th, but they could still drop into a playing game if this result holds. But what stands out to you?
I think the biggest thing here is Austin Bold sitting at 8th. They can still jump to 5th, and they're hosting Tacoma Defiance. And you would go, okay, that's an easy 3 points. Go look at who they've played recently and what they've been able to do. Ask New Mexico United, who's on the outside looking in right now. They will go up against Vegas, and Vegas won't care that it's going to take an astronomical amount of goals, and everybody else around them trying to drop in, they're going to go after those guys. They're going to make sure that they will get as close as humanly possible before bowing out.
Devin, you want to wave at all of our adoring fans right now? Because I bet Mark Lowry's watching, Braden Cloutier's watching, so on and so forth. This is what the bracket would look like if it ended right now.
Still Sacramento, the 7th, and you're going to play Phoenix. I'm not interested. Again, Darren Powell, and that's a rough route to go. I don't mind this right side, by the way. The reason I say that, for me, the 3 best teams right now, I'm saying right now, so everybody at home settle down. I'm talking about right now, recent run of form, Orange County, Real Monarchs, Phoenix Rising. How does that look for you? You go the opposite side, still some really talented team. Fresno, of course, Ian Russell and Reno 1868. Everybody still looking to break through and get their championship.
It's going to be a crazy playoff run. It all starts Wednesday night on ESPN+. There's still work to be done here, however. Monarchs 1, Sacramento 0. Got plenty more coming up here at halftime, including the goal from Ryden and all of our highlights. It's after this.
Gomez there. Gomez on the Bermudez. Bermudez puts it home. And Greenville scored. Pepe going for goal. He's given North Texas the moment.
What this club is trying to do is offer a real sense of community.
But it's all about the process. Make sure you're doing the little things right.
They have a really strong locker room, and everybody really wants to do well for the club.
Good afternoon, faithful. This is a big day. This is a big deal for us. This is a win for the community.
You know, we've been averaging, between, I would say, 10 and 12,000 a game.
And it is a loud, boisterous 10,000, 12,000, and they love us, and we love them just as much. I mean, it's a reciprocal relationship at all times.
We never thought that we would grow this fast.
I have to pinch myself because, it sometimes seems too good to be true, but it's not. It's been pretty unbelievable, and it's been done better than I ever could have dreamt of, to be honest.
This is a club for New Mexico, by New Mexicans.
And I don't think that we're done yet. It's just getting started.
Awesome work from New Mexico United and ESPN FC. You aren't going to want to miss it. It is a great documentary series. It's Monarchs and Sacramento 1-0 at the half. This could mean a lot in the grander scheme of games later today. Let's start, Devin, with news and notes from around the USL Championship. Devin, we don't know where we're going, but we know where we're going to be on November 17th, right?
I can tell you someone who's going to know where they're going. Charleston Battery. They have almost punched their ticket. They're approaching that. They're up 4-1. They've got a chance. They win today. Eastern Conference, they're finally in. Road to 2019 USL Championship Final. Mike Anhauser will finally have a shot. Thought it was going to be the year, but it's not. Birmingham, Pittsburgh. Draws all day long. Calling it. Sorry, Bob.
It might mean something. It might not, because there are 7 teams fighting for the final 4 spots. Birmingham might already be out. Pittsburgh might already be the #1 seed. We don't know. Here's the schedule. Primarily the Western Conference, what we're looking at right now. It's all on ESPN+.
Los Dos, El Paso, Orange County, Fresno. Take my money for admission every single day. And I love the fact that they are playing at the same exact time. That really excites me. We mentioned Austin Bold, Tacoma Defiance. That's a good one. And New Mexico United, I tell you what, I really felt for them after their last match. Credit to Tacoma. They took a lot of pressure from that front movement of United, but you got to do better. Conversion rate has to rise up if you want to be in that top 10.
San Antonio needs points. Reno can wrap up the 2 seed early on, and here's why. In the standings, San Antonio is in 10th, and New Mexico is nipping at their heels. Reno and Fresno level on points. The win is the first tiebreaker, not goal difference. This is what it all looks like right now.
I'm just saying, by the way, call me crazy, but I did say San Antonio would be the 10th team. Galaxy draws. San Antonio draws. San Antonio gets in. New Mexico United wins. They get in. They move into 9th. Everybody's happy, including me, because I would have had the top 10 correct. I mean, I'm just saying.
Devin, you're crazy.
I know, I am crazy. You figured that out a long time ago. Just don't tell the people.
Everyone's happy except LA Galaxy. I don't know why you're leaving them out. Well, the performance is on the field right now. The big performance, Kalen Ryden. 1-0 lead for the Monarchs. We'll show you his goal, 45th minute, when we come back. Fortnite might actually be a scourge on our society. I don't understand the dances, Devin. I don't get it at all. It's halftime here. Monarchs 1, Sacramento 0.
What's Fortnite?
Yeah, okay, let's take a look at our highlights from the first half, as it is an enjoyable experience here in Harriman, Utah. And this was a game where I think both sides were just trying to feel each other out. It felt like for almost 45 minutes.
My wife took away the video games a long time ago, but they were trying to double pump the power button here, push these guys up. And I said, you just got to speed the rate of play up. Anytime that they were a bit more direct and went with pace, they had some success. No, it didn't end up in the back of the net, but they got a couple looks. Overlapping runs on the left side. Sam Werner, Bijev had a couple nice crosses in. their best chance was right here. Quick rotation. This started with Eni Voltson. It's going to end with him, and look where the run is. Right closing on the top of the 6. This is a great chance. Unfortunately, just couldn't tuck it home.
Bijev getting into the attack. And Eni Voltson so close, no cigar. Move forward here, Noah Powder. This long switch, and then he goes to work.
It was a questionable one, too. They had a lot of bodies here near side, but instead they go the long route. You stretch them open. That's fine. Tried from distance. I don't mind it. It's going to take something special to beat Shuttleworth, though. What was the question coming in? Set pieces. Defensive set pieces have been the plague for Sacramento Republic. Second time around, it gets them, and it's the back post run from the same runner, Kalen Ryden. First one off the post, second chance right through. 3 guys around him, and he outjumps everyone. That's no disrespect to Kalen Ryden because he's got hops, but look at everybody else just standing. Even Eni Voltson on the end line doesn't jump when this ball comes back in. Got to be better. Down 1-0.
Kudos to Michael Chang with that header back across as well. As here are your halftime stats. Real Monarchs a significant possession advantage. It has lessened as this game has gone along.
Not shocking, and we said that as the system started to figure each other out, what they were going to line up in. The 3 switch for Real Monarchs. Tate Schmidt active early, that's faded. Noah Powder started to get things going. The key to success for them, though, is going to be the 2 boys up top. They need to find outlets through Douglas Martinez and Michael Chang. But how about Cam Iwasa and Eni Voltson? You know, 6 shots, 2 on target. One of them was Eni Voltson switching to the back post. A lot of it was half chances. And these are guys that are marksmen. Some of the better ball strikers in all the USL Championship. Got to find a way to get them on the ball.
It's a knit wool cap kind of weather today in Harriman, Utah. The Western Conference playoff picture is starting to heat up. In the East, things looking a little bit more clear now than they did not too long ago. Charleston is officially into the playoff field. Devin mentioned it previously, a 5-1 drubbing of Bethlehem Steel. So the MUSC Health Stadium era continues for that team, although they're going to have to play on the road in the entirety. St. Louis, the real loser there.
How about the matchups, though, with their games? These teams that are trying to play their way in, they've got a rough run of it. Yeah. St. Louis FC, they're taking on Charlotte Independence, who've won 3 in a row. Resurgence of Mike Jeffries at the end of the year. Birmingham Legion, they have to take on Pittsburgh Riverhounds. And that game, you really thought it was going to be, okay, St. Louis will find a way to get it done. Charleston Battery are going to stumble. I was one of the biggest proponents for thinking that the eye test just hadn't passed for that squad. What have they done? Punched their ticket once again, and those final 2 teams looking for that bottom spot.
Well, that's because Real Monarchs showed up and took some of their best players right off their roster. Chang and Portillo featuring on this day for Real Monarchs, former members of the Charleston Battery. Both these teams know they're in the playoff field. Zions Bank Stadium playing host on this day. Gorgeous venue, 5,000 capacity as part of a grander Real Academy facility in Harriman. Cost the better part of $80 million.
Tried all day. Gone now.
Early corner for Sacramento, Devin. I would expect nothing less than them coming out with their hair on fire at the outset.
Hansopolos, big body in number 6, and Mitchell Tainer. Those are your target pieces. Got to separate them, though, and give yourself 2 options.
Bijev goes short. They do separate now. High arcing ball to the back post. Tainer kept it up. Snapped aside. Lifted by Eni Voltson. His arms extended, wanted a run there. Ball bouncing at the penalty spot. Header along to Hansopolos. Little tug there. Mulholland goes to ground.
Smart by Justin Portillo to just knock this thing and allow your team to move the lineup. He understood the writing was on the wall that they were going to quickly let this thing open up. Quality pressure by Sacramento Republic right out of the gates, and it's just up the tempo a little bit here. They really struggled in the middle of the field, and then to allow the space to open up, that's where they start to try and find some numbers, and that's due to the overload by Real Monarchs. We talked about that, how they switched their shape and pushed so many pieces into the middle of the pitch.
Back to Ochoa. I mean, even early in this game, though, I saw Sacramento sort of keeping a pretty solid mark on Justin Portillo, not allowing him to orchestrate. Taken away by Bijev, Iwasa, and Mulholland got his feet extended at the back end of that tackle, and a yellow card.
He's in from behind. He knows he got it wrong. Luke Mulholland recognizes that Cam Iwasa's got space to work with, and he tries to pull out of the tackle at the tail end, you see, and unfortunately his momentum carries him into the runner. And you just wonder, is this outside the range for Ine Voltsen? Bijev standing over the ball. He's actually moved off of it. Great set piece striker. Sam Werner as well, and Bijev just having a little fun with him.
Even the referee could see the humor in that. Oh. It's Elvis Osmanovic. He was still writing. I mean, it's not, anywho. Werner and Bijev the most likely to take this, and it is in Bijev's range. He'll chip it over the top. Kept by Skundrich. Lofted ball toward Mahoney and Ochoa. Using Powder as a place to land.
Stretch! Stretch!
Ball lifted toward Chang. Chang in behind.
It's funny when you're sitting back watching plays like this develop, all of the hard work has been done. Chang, little look over the left shoulder. Watch Douglas Martinez wide open at the top of the 6. Different angle there. You've got a trailing run, and your talisman striker just slide this over to your left. It naturally develops, and you're up 2-0.
Crossfield ball pinged expertly. And the Monarchs are in business. Mulholland wants it in front of him. Oh, he put it in! Gorgeous finish from Mulholland. And the Monarchs make it 2. And you gotta think they'll be home a week from tonight.
25th minute mark, long ball from Tate Schmidt. Sprayed about 50 yards across the field to Noah Powder. Those diagonal balls allow this team to open up its shape. And you can do one of two things here. You attack the back line, or then you allow the trailing runners on the back post to develop and you knock it in from a service standpoint. They elect for option 1, and you go direct. As this ball gets knocked from Eric Holt all the way back across the field, it's the quick little touch in, and you've got the step in from the middle. So you don't go to the backside, you go centrally. And that location is trailing runners where your back line is accounting for multiple blue shirts running through. That's the run of Luke Mulholland, and the Englishman just so cool, pushing it into the bottom corner. Really well worked by the Monarchs.
Injury plagued a year ago. That is his first goal since September 23rd, 2017 with Real Salt Lake. He's only managed 17 games since that time. And Mulholland most definitely enjoyed that moment. Well, Devin, now Sacramento's got a 2-goal hole to play out of. They've only allowed 42 goals all season, but I think the dirty secret about them is they've only scored 50. That's tied 11th in the league.
I'm more concerned about the defensive shape, though. Offensively, yes, it needs to be better. But when you're not making proper decisions on the defensive side of the ball, it doesn't allow you to gain any momentum. No, they didn't play the greatest in the first half. We can obviously agree on that. However, they were still in the match at 0-0. It's a set-piece opportunity once again that comes back to haunt you, and that's the stuff that you have to tidy things up at. When you're not so great on one side, you got to get better on the other.
Bijev for Iwasa. You see how potent Real Monarchs have been this year offensively. And for Sacramento, let's say this. The difference between them 2.5 months ago and them now offensively is one Thomas Ine Voltsen.
It's very different. 50 in the back of the net. They put in 48 last year. That's why I said I'm not overly concerned on the offensive side of things. Decision-making needs to be better, but defensively, you've given up 42 goals this year now. You only gave up 34 last year. That 8 is a massive jump.
They're still the 3rd best defense in the league. Ball wound over the top. Well, in the West.
Yeah, easy with that one. A couple of the boys over on the east side, Bob Lilly, John Hackworth, even Neil Collins, they're gonna have something to say about that one.
And Martin Rennie and Coach Smith at Nashville.
Match up! Match up!
Now you have a direct striking opportunity. It's off angle, but still, Bijev, he whips a quality ball and watch the near post here. David Ochoa has to be careful. A lot of bodies in the box, only 2 men. You can go right after him.
Bijev. Well, that's as teasing as it gets.
Behind! Behind, Douglas!
Chang backed him into a corner. Cross lifted, looking for the flick onward. Mahoney. That's blocked. Blake. Look at these strides from Martinez. A workhorse galloping forward. Martinez crossing. And it's a little late for Mulholland arriving. Martinez at full stride is a beautiful sight.
Still comes down to the finished product where he has Blake here trailing. He can play it earlier. Instead, all of the bodies from Sacramento come in, and when you close this space down, not only do you have to figure out which direction you're going to go, it's got to be a better decision. When you have 5 bodies in front of you, pull this back, put it on your left foot. That's an area that he's really lacking. Wondrous with his right peg. Left, not so much.
Still developing. Start of the year, he was a youth international. Now he's a full international for Honduras. Chang pops his head out. Cross lifted and eventually played over. Ryden and Plua both inside the 6, and Plua one involved there. Unbelievably, he had a stroke in July of 2016. Ended up subbing into the USL Championship final later that year.
That was a crazy story. I remember that, and it's come up a couple times. With the way this is playing out, just keep an eye. 55 minutes in, up 2-0. Don't be surprised if they bring on Coffee and take off Martinez.
To the back post, header snapped down, and it gets wide for a goal kick. And from Sacramento, something is amiss right now in their set-piece defense.
Same ball, same player. Different ending result, but still all the way back across. 2 white shirts. You got Bijev on the backside. Look at Matt Mahoney. He can't believe it either. That's just a conversation, because even when your goalkeeper sets you up, whether it's zone or one-on-one, you still have to execute. These guys are all looking around at each other going, you know, where's the help at? Something's off.
Keep going, keep going, keep going, keep going.
There's going to be a card for this. Well, Elvis Osmanovic acting like this is persistent infringement. I think that alone was enough for Blake. Good news for Jack Blake is he's not going to get fined for that. He wasn't sitting on an accumulation suspension, which for those watching here in the final week, accumulation suspensions null and void in terms of the playoffs, but still got to put a little money in the coffer.
I wonder how long Simon Elliott waits to go after reinforcements down 2-0. I was actually quite surprised that Kevin Aleman was not in the 11, someone who I've been very impressed with over the second half of this season. Taking a real impactful role for this squad. We highlighted him in the open with the initial play and then the spin-off on the ball. Again, Iwasa didn't need to use him. But with their lack of really a presence on the wings, to be honest, all due respect to Bijev and Warner, they need a little help there, and why not some fresh legs, push it up. Also in the middle of the field, it's got to get better, and look at Blake just running it.
Well, Easy come, easy go.
It's the same thing, though. You step, really well done by Hansopoulos on the back line, and then the next ball up isn't what you're looking for. You're going to play this ball out in front. It's got to be diagonally down into the channel, not a ball coming away from the player, too much spin on it. And Werner was actually checking back to it. He wanted it at his feet.
Martinez will line up. Tainter in his crosshairs. Schmidt. Blake. And Chang. I think sent that into the lake you were talking about in the first half.
Taxi. We'll get it for you.
It's worth noting the bench in this game for Sacramento. Stefano Bonomo, a pretty well-known goal scorer over the years in the league. Aleman Formella, who came in mid-season. And then the rest probably more defensive reinforcements. Partain, Sarri, and Kainan.
I will take Sarri in the middle of the field.
Yeah.
He's a guy who can dictate everything, and that's what they're really lacking. Look at Villarreal. Comes in here, but Skundrich has moved all the way up top, and that's fine. But you've sandwiched yourself in between two players. The only ball you have is lateral. I like the depth, but you still have to find a way to connect the dots. And when you square your body up like that, you don't give yourself any options.
Keep going, forward!
Powder. Look at this, feathered toward Chang, and Shuttleworth aggressive off his line. Play still on here for the Monarchs. Chang trying to circumvent everybody.
That's a back pass, that 100%.
Well, you see Shuttleworth saying, hey, did you touch it? And then he lets the ball go, and it's kicked in by Chang. That's not going to make Sacramento very happy. So a little miscommunication there, and Elvis Osmanovic pointing for a pretty rare moment here. You don't see all this much.
Indirect inside the box. Watch all the bodies line up as butts up, they call it in training at the end of it when everybody gets a ball pinged at them. That was something you and I experienced with Louisville City before last year's final. This will be indirect, and there is a little touch off of it. Just have a conversation with Noah Powder. So now you go to the training ground for a little bit of trickery. Jack Blake around, Justin Portillo, all of these boys. And here's the little touch. Watch, Chang comes through right here. Thank you very much. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Not even a question, Mahoney. We see it come off the left foot. He knows.
Well, the problem is he goes, I didn't do it. And then he goes, yeah, no, I did it.
Villarreal just standing over Portillo, seeing if he can figure out what these boys are having a chat about.
I want to know what Powder and Blake just said. Powder went and pulled him by the collarbone backward. Well, as Devin says, butts up. Here we go. The wall is shielding off that lower end of the goal.
Just remember, indirect, you have your goal scorer, Mulholland, and well done by Bijev. He sees it now, coming all the way back over. So there's a quick little move, touch, stop, hit. You move it to the outside, but when you're this close, you have to get something direct on goal. So see if they come all the way back out to Chang. This is a really tough angle. I'm moving this laterally to try and bring it back across and have a strike. The problem is Noah Powder isn't necessarily the look.
The rare indirect free kick. Put in play, Martinez scores! You saw that right. 3-0 Real Monarchs. They are racing into the quarterfinals. And another home game at Zions Bank.
It was 3 of 9 coming in. It's now 5 of 11 from set pieces that have really been the gamut that has had to be run by Sacramento Republic. Matt Mahoney gives up the ball back to Shuttleworth. You get an indirect free kick. This is so difficult to get it right. How about this ball? Beautifully done. Just tees it up, keeps his head down. 16 was never sweet enough for Douglas Martinez, but this one's going to be extra special as he gets his 16th of the season. And to stay low on this ball is beyond impressive. Easy to lean back. A lot of times you'll see guys try and place this thing. He just goes for power. They are not looking anywhere but in front at that number 4 spot in a home field playoff game.
Kevin Aleman comes on, a sub that Devin was looking for moments ago. He'll try and usher a little more offense into the game. Well, we spoke with Jamison Alave a bit coming into this game, who is most improved over the course of this year, and he didn't hesitate. Douglas Martinez becoming a full international for Honduras, 16 goals for Real Monarchs. He'd come around Red Bulls 2 back in 17, 16 games, only 1 goal, didn't work out within that system. He scored 2 goals for Vida in his entire time playing in the Liga Nacional in Honduras, and he has found something really spectacular here in Salt Lake City.
They appreciate it so much. He's on a Real Salt Lake contract now.
He is.
So a loanee that the Monarchs are taking advantage of, and why not? A guy that they bred into this system. They find a way to push him to MLS, but obviously as a loanee, still taking advantage of his chances. USL Championship, well done up top, and really gotten better as the game has gone on. Not his best outing. I'd like to see the ball out in front of him a bit more and challenging that back line. But as a pure goal scorer, when you have limited opportunities, got to make the most of them. He's definitely done that.
Chang knocks the ball free. There's Martinez. Martinez. Blake. There's room here for Chang. Mulholland. Portillo. Well, this is going to be a little bit of a shock to the system for Sacramento, I think, going toward the playoffs. If you are Real Monarchs, we hit on it at the outset. Their last 4 games were against playoff teams. Well, they're going to beat another playoff team almost assuredly here at home to close out the regular season. Watch out.
You beat Phoenix at Phoenix.
Yep.
You beat Reno at Reno. You beat Orange County at home, but it's still a great win. That's 1, 2, and 5. You draw Austin, which at that point in time, they were actually in 7th. They're in 8th now, and now you're going to beat the number 7 team. 5 in the top 8. Impressive.
And what's more, at Reno, at Phoenix, that's 1 and 2. They are the 2 best records at home in the league outside of Real Monarchs in the Western Conference. And you went there and won, and you may have to do it again. Maybe not even once, potentially twice. Be on the Phoenix side of the bracket, so they could see Phoenix in the 1-4 and potentially get Fresno or Reno, who are both outstanding home record teams there in the conference final. I mean, that's all a long way away.
And Reno, by the way, who's leaving nothing to question, up 1-0 on Tulsa. They're out in front. They're looking for that next win to secure the 2 seed.
If they drop points, it opens the door for Fresno tonight against Orange County. Bijev is down on the other side of the play, so it's going to be a little bit compact here in the attack for Sam Werner. Werner showing off the ball skills. If this result held, Sacramento would play on Wednesday night with an opponent to be determined in the newly minted play-in game. Aleman swerves that out of play. Formella has come on and replaced Thomas Voltson. Well, all energy for him now pointed at Wednesday night, one would imagine. He just never got into the game the way he wanted to tonight.
Not necessarily all of his fault, as
yes.
Again, we talked about the system for the Monarchs overloading the middle of the field. But that's the mark of a great team, is when one look is thrown at you, how do you react? And they just really haven't much. Anytime they've had some chances, it is that quick fire where they go the other way.
Sacramento looking to drag one back. Formella giving chase all the way. And pushed off in the end by Eric Holt.
That's a real good look, though. The quick little touches, they are so capable of a high level of play. We just haven't seen it today.
Didn't quite work out for Jack Blake. And the long floated ball for Werner. Well, a high boot. Werner goes to ground. Seems to indicate he was knocked by Holt there.
This is a high boot. How the referee doesn't allow this one. Even if he doesn't catch him, it's still intent. You don't have to make contact for this to be a foul here. That's the conversation going on the sideline.
High boot is a high boot whether you make contact or not.
Yeah, he doesn't have to hit him, and the momentum going straight up. I mean, the movement had already come from Sam Werner in this situation. So Eric Holt knew by going this high up, it was always going to be problematic. Now, whether or not he made contact is another story, but that's not the point here. The point is if you committed, you're committing either way. It doesn't matter.
Well, it appears a change is coming for Real Monarchs. Sam Brown set to make his entrance. Well, job well done. Luke Mulholland, 5 years for Real Salt Lake, and after injury-plagued seasons, the Englishman has found a goal in this game in the 50th minute that opened this thing up. His first goal in over 2 years. And Brown comes on in his stead. He had never missed a game due to injury before 2018. Ever. His whole career.
I'll take that any day.
I know you would. Your knees are barking.
It's my stomach. I'm hungry.
Portillo. Chang. There's Blake. A little more advanced up the field now. Chang opens up. I'll go ricocheting off to the touchline. Throw for Powder. Offside flag up against Jack Blake. Nearly 4,800 feet above sea level, Zions Bank Stadium playing host as Real Monarchs are on the verge of their 16th win, their 11th at home. It would put them into 4th place officially in the playoff bracket. Sacramento appears headed toward the number 7 seed and the play-in game. If current results were to hold, they would host on Wednesday night. And then potentially,
Yes. Yes.
as the number 7 seed, could avoid Phoenix. Potentially get Reno or Fresno. Blake is down.
Jordan McCrary disagreeing, saying that it's shoulder to shoulder, and there's been a couple challenges this afternoon that have been head turners. You'll get a much better look at the battle doing it. It's not the fact that it's shoulder to shoulder, it's the fact that when you're stepping forward like this and you have to go vertical, you got to go straight up and down. The moment you come in from the side or underneath in a bridging type motion, you're always going to get yourself in trouble. That's what happens against Blake, and he's not feeling real good. He reached to that left side. This is a bit of a cause for concern if you're the Monarchs. And James and Olave, you just made a sub. Sam Brown came on in the middle of the field. You have to make another one. Up 3-0, 20 minutes to go. Pull him off. I'm not risking anything now.
Herman Vasquez, Arriaga, Coffey, and Yasso, the available changes. Boy, Theo's the lucky guy. He's got his Halloween gear on already. So they could do it again next week.
What are you doing for Halloween? Are we dressing up?
I'm not.
Why not?
I'm not. I'm going to Disney World, believe it or not.
Epcot? I'm all about Epcot. Around the world. Here we go.
I'm going for work, buddy.
Nice. I don't remember getting that invite.
No, I'm in the Mickey Mouse costume.
Yes, there we go.
Oh, boy.
Yours is better than mine. Sorry, I tried.
I've done too many impressions this week.
And it looks like they're going to bring Blake back on, so good to see that he's well off to continue. Did not seem too happy after the challenge with Jordan McCrary.
Don't know why you would. Excellent ball for Werner, who brought it down. Might be one of those nights for Sacramento.
He's frustrated with himself, and he should be, but there's also got to be a louder shout from Formela in the middle of the field. He was coming in that trailing runner at the top of the 18. But Werner's very astute in his actions. He just didn't hear him. With everybody around you, you got to be at the top of your lungs if you want this ball, especially in a 2v1.
Blake cycles it back across the halfway line. And Chang there. Martinez remains down. Man who bagged his 16th goal of the year. He's going to finish short of the likes of Solomon Asante, but let's say this. Didn't play that many games. Martinez only played 23 games this year. I'm not saying he would have bagged another 6, but he could have been in contention for the Golden Boot.
This is a Carlton Belmar-esque season.
Indeed.
It plays half the time and scores more than half the goals.
That's right. He's up and about again. Back by Skundrich. Devin and I work all year long around the USL Championship. We talk to most every coach, most every public relations guy in the league. So much fondness we have for Game of the Week. Final one here tonight before we meet up again November 17th on ESPN2 for the USL Championship Final. But Omar Gonzalez, one of our favorites, has moved on from Sacramento Republic and is taking another position. Bijev, that's a good save by Ochoa. First time he's been called upon. Corner coming. Omar, best of luck. We appreciate you, buddy.
Where's this been all day? Quick little cut in. Both Sam Werner and William Bijev trying to get the balancing act going. Well done to just cut in and hit it. And you don't want to say bigger and better things. Just a positive opportunity for Omar. Great job, and good luck to him in his professional future. Cami Wasa's night will be done. Of course, they're going to continue on, just not necessarily sure where they're going to end up in the standings just yet. Stefano Bonomo will replace him. 15 minutes to go. Just try and get something positive out of this. You don't necessarily know if a comeback's capable. Of course, time says it is.
Cross lifted, knotted straight down. That gets cleared. Only as far as short of midfield. McCrary. Ochoa bobbled it. The offside flag was up.
There was actually a shout here by Hansopoulos to the referee saying it was me, and he's not far wrong here. Matt Mahoney read this really well. Hansopoulos actually pushed himself back out to the top of the 18, and Matt Mahoney drifted in. But for the Quails, let's talk about positive talking points. Brilliant roster. Hasn't necessarily taken the shape you want it to, but the talent is there.
I think the adjustments they've made over the course of the year, Barahona, who's not playing in this game, he was playing in Nations League in the previous window, and Ini Voltson helped to craft it closer to what they want, though.
Can you just now put it all together?
Yeah.
That's the key question here, and the answer is, with Simon Elliott behind you, yes, you can. Will you is a different thing, and that's, but listen, it's playoffs. It is a whole nother animal. The chances that you take, this is all just about execution. It's one thing to let a ball in the back of the net, have a night off, and just go, okay, roll over, we go again next week. That's no longer the case. So find a way. If you can't complete a comeback now.
Bijev, that's stabbed away. Aleman in pursuit.
You just find a way with just inside 15 minutes to go to get some positive momentum going into the next match. Go bag a goal. Get some quality buildups. Do something to give yourself the confidence needed to push into the playoffs.
But Nomo, and that'll bounce over to Ochoa. Nomo, the Third and final change for Sacramento came on a moment ago. 29 in white.
Keep going. Keep playing.
And you think about the brain trust here, right? Simon Elliott leading this first team for Sacramento. Todd Donovan, the general manager. An article from Soccer America comes to mind. 14 years in the pros, 7 times he reached the final. Cross toward Bonomo. Enough of a touch there from Ochoa to clear it free. And they've got Blake running out. Early ball, Martinez! Well, it does to an extent come down for Martinez as he continues to grow. Can his conversion rate include goals like that?
You kidding me with this ball? Look at him close his hips just a little bit. He gets enough rotation to bring it all the way around Mitchell Tainer on the left side, and it's got just enough bite to hold up. Beautiful weight on the ball, and just lacking the finish. That's the Douglas Martinez of the first half that we were missing, where, okay, here's a couple chances, can't finish it off. Thought maybe he was able to pick a few things up, and that would have been the fourth and final to nail this coffin shut. Not the case.
I think those two kids behind the net just met their new hero here. Shuttleworth standing there, but anywho, Donovan, and they brought in Mark Briggs to lead the academy there. Former, you see, we want Briggsy still hanging up there.
Someone will get him.
Yeah.
He's too talented.
Yeah.
You think about the squad that they assembled, his ability to navigate academy players, Real Monarchs players, have guys from Real Salt Lake coming in. That is not an easy road, and Jamison Olave has done a great job as well. I'm not selling him short. He's done a good job.
Devin and I were chatting with Jamison in the lead up to this game. For one, we had to make sure we had his pronunciation right on his name. That's a whole nother story. It seems obvious, but it isn't always. But he kind of laughs. He sort of giggled when you said, "How have you managed all this?" And you verbally go, "Huh," he laughed. It's a juggling act. Schmidt, one of those guys that you were asking about. Hey, this is a guy who was a collegiate number 10.
All-American.
Now you're playing him as a wingback. How are you making that work? And you're trying to win a championship.
An 18-year-old in goal, a converted striker, false 9 into an outside marking back. You've got someone who, guys like Jack Blake, seems like he's a veteran that he's been around so long. I mean, what is it, 5 years now, 6 years?
He's 24, but if you get rid of that beard, I think he looks 14.
Yeah, it's the baby face.
Yeah.
I don't shave either for a reason. He and I, we share the same sentiments there.
Yep. Arriaga comes on. He actually is 18. Jack Blake comes off.
He laughs.
It's complex, and yet he's made it work. But the brain trust, I think, in Sacramento is such that things look good for them in the grand scheme.
Míralo, míralo.
But they're not going to feel that way today.
Tranquilo.
Yeah, Stevie.
Bijev. And Yasso has come on for Real Monarchs as well. So both teams have gone through their full allotment of changes. Tate Schmidt came off due to that injury. Sustained a moment ago. Aleman lays it across. Aleman again. Played for Belin and Herediano. Played for Saprissa as well. We're talking 3 of the biggest teams in Costa Rica. Time with the Canadian national team as well. Well, I'll say this. I was really, Mark Anthony Kay tweeted about it. I think too many people are underrating the Canadian national team right now.
Totally agree with that.
Yasso. Martinez overrun. That's a good recovery by Skundrich.
He just stepped on him.
Although Pulisic had a hockey assist today, and there's going to be a yellow card here from what Douglas Martinez got involved in after the fact, after that challenge.
And there's a couple shouts from the sideline here. They're not happy. They feel like Douglas Martinez went after him and stepped on him deliberately. Sheldon heated. He's not happy with the way this is playing out.
That is an awesome banner. Noah Powder and the Real Monarchs. That is phenomenal. You're a wizard, Noah. Some of these fans are outstanding. The banners that they've created. Maybe they're all outstanding, but that's fantastic. It's a throw for Yasso. I feel like he's playing much better now as it's gone along. They feel like he's got potential to be a really good defender for them moving forward. Devin, the longer the season goes along, the more I think about the pelts that a team can attain. Those big wins, the mantelpieces. Salt Lake has grabbed enough playoff caliber results in the last 5 games to make you think, okay, they're legit. You look at Sacramento, they've got a handful of their own as well. Ball launched across off the outside of the netting. Ochoa allowed that out. At Austin, at Fresno, at San Antonio twice. At New Mexico. Sacramento has given you reason to believe they can go on the road and make a playoff run.
Well done. Keep going. Come on, let's find one here. Well done. Good.
Coming up later tonight, you aren't going to want to miss it. ESPN Plus, the League One Road culminates tonight in Frisco, Texas. North Texas Soccer Club and Greenville Triumph SC. Josh Eastern, Devin Kerr on the call for that one.
Jordan, be smart. Hey,
Douglas Martinez is down. Ian McCrary meeting once again.
Another one of these managers 5 minutes ago, you just want to get out of here healthy. And this game has been very start-stoppish over the last few minutes. Some tackles flying around. The referee just calm the tensions a little bit here and want these boys to get out unscathed, at least from a physical standpoint. The mental side of things for Sacramento are a bit different. This beautiful form that we've seen from the Real Monarchs closing things out. We ran an interesting graphic for Phoenix Rising going into their match against the Monarchs of how previous champions had finished. I'm not saying that the Monarchs are going to go win this thing, but out of all the champions dating all the way back to Sacramento in 2014, there's only one loss in that group. Only one. And so that gives you an idea. Team finishing in 4-0-1 last 5 games. That's not a bad look at it.
You look at the teams that are going to host playoff games in the quarterfinal round in the West. Phoenix has stumbled. Fresno has most definitely stumbled. You would say Reno is close to the pace of Real Monarchs. And Real Monarchs, 5 straight wins or the one draw to Austin against playoff teams. I mean, everything points to them being a legit contender. And in the East, it's been whoever's home has gotten through. In the West, it has not been that way at all.
They're healthy as well. The big question is going to be is who do they have? Who's going to be on their roster come, who are they actually going to put into the 18? Are they going to allow Douglas Martinez to come? They should.
Things are going to get interesting equally depending on the run for RSL in the playoffs. If their run were to end today, all of a sudden you're talking about Portillo, Martinez. Now you need at least 5 appearances if you're on a loan deal to be eligible, correct?
Which all of these guys do and more.
Yes.
But still, I mean, Douglas Martinez had moved his way into, okay, Can I get some bench looks? Where am I at in the 11? Am I now going to be a part of this playoff run?
He started against San Jose in September. That was his first MLS appearance.
Buena, Steve.
Yasso steps in. You can make a similar argument for Reno, for Fresno. You're asking, are their center backs healthy? Some of their wing players look like they are seriously banged up here down the stretch.
Their shape has been an interesting one to watch as well, with their diamond in the middle and Ian Russell trying to convert to the man marking that Almeida has employed with San Jose. And he said it's a constant struggle. You know, I'm trying to get my guys to do their thing, but also react to what our future may or may not look like. And I'm just going, you're another one. How do you do it, man?
But Ian Russell earlier this year told us going into the Open Cup, he goes, I don't totally get it yet.
Yeah.
Bijev, that's caught by Ochoa.
There's a different song being sung out there now, though.
Yeah, that's right.
They have a much better idea of what they are capable of. I think the biggest thing for them, though, is also the fact that they are versatile. They can rotate a lot of pieces in and out of there. Will Seymour and Seth Kasipli seem to be always going. It doesn't hurt the fact, by the way, that Corey Herzog seems to have found his maybe the best run of his entire form, or excuse me, best form of his entire career.
Bonomo, he and Formella not on the same page. Reno has gone up 2-0 at Tulsa, and so that would make them officially the #2 seed. Good run forward. And it's tapped through harmlessly by Arriaga. So the way it's, you know, we thought there'd be all this chaos. The way it's lining up right now doesn't seem quite so chaotic. Looks like the top 4 are settled now in the West. Phoenix, Reno, Fresno, and Monarchs. And there's that battle for the last 2 spots that'll heat up starting around, 8:30 tonight in San Antonio and going through the midnight hour in the East.
You can text me. I'll be in bed. It's a little bit past my bedtime these days. The way the schedule's going, burning the candle at both ends. I'm just trying to keep up with you, you know? You're like, no, it's not possible. I'm just waiting for Sacramento to really go after it, you know, pick it up a little bit here. Again, we just want something positive to grow on. Got some of your substitutions with fresh legs. Why not go after it? Instead, it's opened up the other way, and Monarchs are just having a field day with it.
Martinez, who has 1 goal and maybe should have had another. He thought this was a corner. He's not quite so lucky. We're into stoppage time. 5 added minutes. It was the indirect free kick that probably sucked 2 minutes of marrow out of this game. That was Martinez's goal. A deliberate back pass handled by the goalkeeper. I should say more deliberate back tap or touch. It almost feels wrong to suggest that they conceded another set piece in that format. I mean, it's true, but it's...
I'll do it for you. They conceded.
Okay.
That's pretty simple, because I'll tell you this. Success rate on those types of shots, not very high, believe it or not. An indirect, you're really close. There are so many bodies in the way of the ball. And it's not something you necessarily practice regularly. You know, top of the 18, balls whipped in from the corner. All of that is stuff that get regular repetitions. You know, defensive shape, when these balls are being whipped in, you're not practicing strikes from 6-7 yards out or just inside the penalty mark. See what you can do. That's when you allow the creativity of meeting the minds to just take shape and go have a little bit of fun. Enter Douglas Martinez.
There must have been 5 players standing around that ball before it was struck.
Yeah, notice 18, 20, 22 yards. You get 2, maybe 3 that feel like they can have a go. Right. All of a sudden you get closer and I'm the man for the job.
Blue is like me, you know.
Kalen Ryan's like, look, I'm only 2 off a hat trick. Line me up, boys. Good for him. Quality shift by the back line. Well done in the center of the park as well, and was just really impressed by their ability to execute. And let's talk about that for a second, because going into the Phoenix game, I mentioned this before, they played Orange County and Reno in the same system. They played the 5 where they had the outside backs, call it 3 with your wing backs, whatever it is, and they executed quite impressively. They've done the same today. Not saying by any means are they going to change systems going forward. However, you've had really nice success against 3 pretty impressive teams in the Western Conference.
And at minimum, you have options now in the playoffs.
Yeah, good call.
If you go on the road to Phoenix, I don't know that you're going to play a 3-back, but
not based upon what they just did.
Right.
Sitting in on them and dropping into that block. They created a load of problems for the midfield for Rising.
Rick Schantz intimating leading into yesterday's game, the Phoenix head coach, maybe the blueprint had been found a little bit.
It's not different than what Fresno did.
Not that much, no.
No.
Fresno in possession can certainly send more numbers for, but even Monarchs, Hamas and Olave there, they've done a bit of that as well. Well, the Monarchs have done a job today, no doubt about it. This has been a fairly thorough performance after what seemed like a rather uninspiring first half for both sides. Set piece goal in the 45th minute provided a gap, one that the Monarchs exploited 5 minutes into the second half. They've run away with this and the number 4 seed. Ryden, Mulholland, and Martinez in a 16-minute game minute span. Sacramento, it'll be 6 straight playoff appearances. For the Monarchs, it will be 3. For them to see each other again in the playoffs would be a pretty difficult thing to imagine, all things considered. Crazier things have happened.
With all the guys that are scattered around them, they're going to end up 7 or lower. We know that. That's going to take shape. They're in, but they're going to be 7, 8, 9, 10. We'll remove El Paso from the equation for now, because I'm just going to talk about the play-in game for a second here, okay?
Right.
So let's talk about Austin, Los Dos, San Antonio, New Mexico. They beat Austin twice. They beat San Antonio twice. That's 4 wins in the bag. New Mexico, they beat them. That's 5 wins in the bag. They actually went 5, 2, and 1. That's not a bad little record against those teams.
Against the potential teams they could see.
5, 2, and 1 against those 4 teams. I don't mind that at all.
Now they could get leapt by Austin, but they can't get jumped by LA Galaxy 2 because of wins.
Yep.
That's the first tiebreaker. So they will be a 7 or an 8 seed. And then frankly, it's academic from there. You're going to host a home game, then you're on the road more or less the rest of the way. Who you play in that quarterfinal, that could get dicey. You'll either go to Reno or to Phoenix. Full-time whistle, outstanding performance from Real Monarchs. And a lot of the drama has already been settled in the Western Conference. The number 4 seed, Real Monarchs, will host a conference quarterfinal. And we know now that Sacramento will play host to a play-in game on Wednesday night.
Western Conference, you've been put on notice, by the way. This is, I'll say it, the hottest team in all of the USL Championship Western Conference. They have now gotten points against 5, you heard me, 5 of the top 7. You include them, by the way, there's only one other team, and that's Fresno. Everybody else, that's 4 wins and a draw. That one draw is Austin. They are now looking to make a run at this thing.
Well, the courage of a Lion from these Monarchs. A turnaround mid-season in contention for a top 2 seed. They clinched a month ago, and they're a number 4 seed now. Highlights, stats, all coming up after this. been said, the more things change, the more they stay the same. And for Simon Elliott's side, they will remain in the 7th seed. The Monarchs will remain as the number 4 seed as it stands now. Sacramento will finish as either a 7 or an 8, depending on how this concludes. Ryden, the goal scorer in this game, finished with the captain's armband. Here are the full-time highlights. In Sacramento, huddling on the field, in part, you would think they're saying, hey, we got to get set pieces right.
You know who's great at set pieces? Jimmy Nielsen. You know who Caitlin Ryden played for? Jimmy Nielsen. OKC tutelage right there on full display. Great run on the back post. Second chance opportunities. He was a guy who always loved to get it done from dead ball situations. This is the exact same thing. Well done on the back post. Love when a center back gets involved in the attack. He's out flying. They're up 1-0. Stretch the game, push the numbers. Where are they going to get their second from? Keep an eye on the holding midfielder. Luke Mulholland just slides into the gray area. Beautiful first touch. It's the touch right out in front of his right foot that allows him to either go to the left or come back across the right. Shuttleworth can't get the quick little touch in the bottom post. That's 2. Are there going to be a comeback? Can we find a way for Sacramento Republic to get back into this match? Unfortunately, the answer would be no. And it was an awkward situation where Matt Mahoney took a little touch. Shuttleworth pick it up. You get a indirect inside the box. Douglas Martinez steps up, puts his laces on it. That's 3. 16th of the season for Douglas Martinez.
In just 23 games, and Real Monarchs rise into the number 4 seed, where they are assured a home playoff game in the conference quarterfinals. Sacramento could be a 7 or an 8. 9 and 10 are still very much up for grabs, with Vegas with the faintest of heartbeats, and also New Mexico outside looking in.
Give me that Real Monarchs Orange County game. I'm all over it. 4-5, the way these teams are playing. Love how both coaches have found a way to get everybody healthy, get them on the same page, and really get the best out of all of their players.
Devin, what do you say? Take my money?
Take it all.
Take my money.
Take my eyes, but not the shirt.
USL Championship playoffs begin on ESPN Plus, exclusively on ESPN Plus. It's Wednesday. Quarterfinals on Saturday. USL Championship final ESPN2, 7:30 Eastern Time, November 17th. For our wonderful Vista World Link team, led by producer Sharni Yerke, standards and practices, Brad Baker, Gage Tillotson, Eric Falero, Devin Kerr, Mike Watt saying so long and good night.
This copyrighted telecast of the United Soccer League Championship cannot be retransmitted, rebroadcast, or reproduced without the expressed written consent of the United Soccer League Championship.